For more, let's bring in Texas GOP Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us. There have been arrests made in this case. What do you suspect happens next?
Well, I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to have to face justice. They're going to enter our country illegally, but they've also now committed a crime. They very recklessly, banged into, ran over and then left for dead, an 18-year-old woman. And then they fled the scene, hitting other cars. I mean, there's a lot of evidence. There's a lot of testimony that you're going to see, firsthand testimony. And they were in this country illegally. So I think you're going to see this go to court. You're going to see them have to go to jail, and then you're going to see them hopefully eventually deported. But they should never have been here. I mean, this is an 18-year-old woman who had the rest of her life in front of her. She was an athlete. She was beloved by her friends, by her coaches, by her family. I spoke with her dad last week. They are in the best spirits that they can possibly be. They are focused on the faith. They are focused on what she stood for, and they are trying to be positive. They are not angry right now. I told them that they were better people than I was because I'm angry. I'm very angry. I have been in communication with Tom Homan. I want to go after everybody that had anything to do with this horrific crime.
Do you think the investigation will go forward on that? Do you think there are more law enforcement agencies that are looking into this?
I do. I think that's what has to happen across the country. It's this partnership between the local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and federal law enforcement that actually helps us create these safer communities that enforces the laws and have, these sanctuary city policies. We didn't have that in this case, but you do see them pop up around the country. And when you have these sanctuary city policies that withhold evidence, that withhold from actually law being enforced, it's very frustrating. And how many more Laken Moores, or Laken Rileys, and how many more Ava Moores do we have to have before we actually start enforcing the law? We've got a president now. We've got agencies that are doing that. You've seen a decrease of border crossings, illegal border crossings, by 98%. But this woman who recklessly ran over Ava Moore should never have been here, was brought in, came into the country and was released during the Biden administration, and they have to be brought to justice. And I'm really hoping that that's going to happen in this case. And I want to thank local law enforcement, and I want to thank, Immigration and Customs Enforcement for bringing such a speedy and timely process, and getting these people behind bars.
The Department of Homeland Security is what it says, naming and shaming a number of jurisdictions around the country that are sanctuary jurisdictions. There's a lot of tension. There are a lot of local officials, especially now one in California, who's apparently posted on social media that ICE agents are terrorists. This back and forth that's going on, do you think that simply by naming the jurisdictions that there will be changes in these local jurisdictions, state and county and city?
I don't think a lot of people really pay attention to what's going on in their cities. You don't see a whole lot of, news crews at city council meetings. So I think to get the information out about what's happening in these cities, you're seeing, exactly that. We are having to promote it because it's not really receiving any kind of local news. People don't even know them. They live in these sanctuary cities half the time, or more than half the time. And as a local elected official myself, I was a city council member for 6 years. I was mayor of a large city for 6 years. We had a great relationships with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And as a result, we became the 5th safest city in the country. When you have that kind of a partnership, it works. When you don't, is when you see this kind of just reckless destruction. And I don't know why they do it. I hope that their citizens, that their voters hold them accountable, because it has never worked. Allowing people to just recklessly break the law and not hold them accountable has only led to further law breaking and further destruction, further lives lost.
Are Republicans considering anything in federal law, any bill that could curb or push back on these jurisdictions?
Yeah, I mean, we've had dozens and dozens in the last 4 years alone that we've introduced. And a lot of them are looking at holding over their federal funding until they actually start enforcing their laws. And we need to do that. We also want to make sure that we're respecting the ability of these local cities to be able to govern themselves. However, when they're not protecting the basic, civil rights of their citizens is when the federal government has to step in. And whether or not that's holding some of these local officials accountable criminally or holding back their federal funding, I think we're looking at all options.
The opponents would say that sometimes what you have in a situation where you're apprehending migrants at courthouses is that they don't then show up to their court dates. If they're witnesses to a crime, they don't testify to try to help law enforcement. Are you concerned about that effect?
No, I think that's an excuse. I think, you're going to have every reason why people will give for not showing up. I think if it is a law, if it is always and consistently enforced, people are much less likely to break it if they know what the ramifications are. And right now, we've said if you are in our country illegally in the last 4 years, go at it. We will provide you with housing. We'll provide you with schooling. We will provide you with health care. We will provide you with cash cards. We will provide you with food. We'll provide you with cell phones. That is an incentive to enter our country illegally. And then once here, these people don't know our laws. They break them recklessly at times, and they have to be held accountable. And so I really appreciate the efforts that you're seeing for this administration.
Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. You have a great weekend.
You too.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.